All right, so welcome to another video. Right, so in the last video we did make the walls 3D and all that, and try to clean up the model as much as possible. So in this video we're going to be going into modeling the roof. Very simple and straightforward stuff. Never forget this: you are not building the roof, you are modeling the roof, and to that effect you just need to make it look like what it should. You are visualizing, right? So not everything you do should be as per exactness, right? It's very important. All right, if you're an architect and you have need for that exactness, then you could go ahead and do that. But if you're just a visualizer, you don't necessarily have to kill yourself over trying to make the roof look perfect, right? So but that being said, let's get into some business. All right, so let's look at a roof plan. All right, let's look at a roof plan. So this is the roof plan we have here, right? This is the roof plan we have here. So first things first, when we go to our model, let's group all these are already being grouped, properly grouped, so we can just go ahead and hide that. But first of all, on the first floor plan, which is where the roof spans out from, I'm just going to go ahead and draw some guides on the four corners. Then I go ahead and hide that. Right, so this gives me the starting plane for my roof, right? That gives me the starting plane for my roof, right? So I'm just going to do that. All right, so let's continue analyzing our roof, right? So this is the roof when you look at it from this dimension, right? So let's see what exactly is going on here. So we have one of the roof going sliding down this way, another one sliding down this way. So let's look from some angle, right? So remember where this is. So this shows us what the roof looks like, all right? So from this point, right? All right. So from here to here will be our 3000, 3001. So that means that line I just drew, everything I drew just starts from here going upward, right? So we have the building in two sections. Have the building in two sections. And what that means now, if I come back to this, try to identify the section. Right, sorry, that's the wrong place. If you try to identify, if I turn on the first floor plan, you can see that one roof goes this way, one roof goes this way, the other roof goes this way, because I think from this point here, this point. So if I should draw a rectangle like so, I should draw a rectangle. So this is what we have: one roof here, one roof here, right? Sorry about that. Right, so this is what it's clearly showing you. This is the wall of that other side, right? So you see, these things don't have a one way. Like I keep saying, there's no one way of doing things, right? It's all about how dynamic you can be, right? So this, we're just looking at the roof. We see it's slanted by 9 degrees. So what we would clearly need now is let's get the walls drawn out, and we'll proceed from there, right? So let me go ahead and look at this, so I can tell that first of all, you can see this is the wall. If you look closely, you can see the internal, these lines indicate the actual internal building space, like so. So likewise for this, likewise for this as well. That's like the wall line, because this is where this cuts through, right? So that means there is an offset from this. So you remember this A, B, C, D. Those are like the wall lines going through the wall. Those are the grid lines for the walls. All right. So what I would just do now is I'm just looking to see if I can get something. All right. So there are some dimensions that are not properly given here, but I can clearly notice something. So I can't see the total height. Yeah, let me look at the section. So it's not showing me the height of these things, right? So, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to make some assumptions, right? Like I said, it's not so important that everything is like an exact. One of the things you have to remember, okay, I think this 9 degrees is going to help us, right? So, first of all, we'll have to get the walls. When we get the walls, the internal, these walls in here, because there's a wall going up a little bit. Then we'll get that wall. We start from this particular length and then we'll draw an inclined protractor. Then whatever it cuts out this point, we extend it by some distance, right? So this distance, we can just use 450 or 500, right? So I think that's a good plan, right? So let me go ahead and group this. I'll make this a group and I'll make this a group, right? So I'll call this small roof and I'll call this big roof, right? Big roof. All right. So from here, from this point, what I'm just going to go do is I'll pick this up from this part and I'm just going to go inside and make, I drew this from the exact wall line. All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and put out some distance for the wall, 230. And then I'm just going to pull it up a little bit by, say, give or take, let me do 300, right? Then, okay, let me look at the image, right? I think I should look at that image. Okay, so this is where that line ends, that 3,150 ends. Then this other part is the wall. So for this guy, they cut it through. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to make mine touch that actual point. So this is going to come up by 450 for me. And let me see. So I think I just moved this by 400, right? Then I'll do this. I'll cut this wall because this is this place, right? So this is that other side. This is the wall I just cut just now. So I'll cut this side through, and I'll pull this to go high just a little bit. I'll push it by, let me see, 600. Yeah, let it be 600 high. Is it too high? Not really. So let me take it by that 600 high. All right. So now that it's 600 high, what I want to do now is from this point now, let me call this the roof wall. I'll call this roof wall. Then I'll just go ahead and take my protractor. My protractor it enables me to measure angled lines. I'll measure this up by 9 degrees, right? So you can see that 9 degrees is giving me an inclination, right? So I could just go ahead and come back to this roof wall and pull it until I get, the protractor height I just measured, right? For the protractor height at that point is, right? That's like roughly 200, right? So I'm just going to measure 200 like so. So you can see how that protractor height measures the whole thing for me. What I'm just going to do is along that height as well, I'm just going to measure up along that protractor height and measure up by the thickness of 150 for the roof. I measure the thickness of 150 and I will just cut out that thickness, right? So what I would do, okay, this is thicker than 150, right? Let me see something. All right, so don't forget, like I said, the roof doesn't have to be, as it shows the eave side of the roof, the falling side. Okay, I can see there's a parapet. Yeah, that's why I use profile. All right, so you can see some modeling errors going on here. If you pay attention, you see there's like a line going on here, a 2D line. My God, that's just funny. The 2D line going on there. That's a funny error, yeah. You don't do that in real buildings. But that's, by the way, we'll fix our error, right? So I mean, it's a free building plan, so maybe they didn't put so much energy and effort into that, right? So with that, I could just use my line tool and I would measure outward 450, and then I'll measure outward from here as well along the red axis 450. And when I do that, I can look at this. Don't get misplaced. I can look at these two guidelines. I'll just use my line to and draw this to this point. Then I draw it through to that next point right there. Then I draw like this. All right. So doing roof can really be complicated. All right. So, but it doesn't have to be so complicated, right? So I'll take this up as well. So I took it first up by 150 here. So I'll take this up again by and I take that measurement, I'll take it up again by 50, take it up again by 50, right? Then I would just use my line to and close that. All right, so is it Shift Alt Y? Did I set that? I don't think I configured that here. That's my hide other models. Let me see if I did configure that preference shortcut. I need to see hide. Okay, Alt Shift Y, Alt Shift Y. All right, let it hide every other thing when I'm inside a group. All right, so you can clearly see this now. I have this shape drawn out. You know, if you think about it, it's simple what's going to follow next. Push it out by 450, and then all right, so that left the hole there. So I'm just going to close that out. All right, then I'll push it again till it gets to this end. Right, pretty simple and straightforward, right? So I just do reverse faces. I reverse that face so it's facing outward. Outward. All right, this one, I'll just reverse that so it's facing underneath. And the reason I reverse that so it's facing underneath is so that it will be to serve as the roof, right? So I could leave this hole empty. I could decide to close it, but I'll close it on this side. So I'll come to this wall, and I'm just going to draw a line from this point to this point, and I'll do the same from this point to this point. I don't necessarily need to so much do any detail in there. All right, so you could decide to do all those things if you want to, but it's not necessary. Given that I'm not trying to like render the roof out or show someone something, so this whole roof wall thing, I just want it on two sides, right? I just want it on two sides. But if I do want, I could just pull that, just let it look proper, right? Most of the times I do something just so that it looks proper, not necessarily because it's required. All right, so with this I can just get that shape out. Then you can see my roof is already looking almost finished, right? So but what I could do for this is, based on this angle as well, I could just draw this line out, put it down, and then push pull all. Okay, I'll close this, delete this one, and push it through all the way. All right, so that I have, I could use plus, you know, to have that stuff. So I could clean this, and see how that part is looking neat, right? So if I come out from there, what's left is the top part of that roof. So with this selected, I'll just move that all the way out. And I didn't mean to duplicate that, right? I just move it all the way out, right, to this point. Then I would push. All right, so I want it to come out a little bit. So I'll push it out by 20. Then I'll push it out by 20. Then I think I'll push this out again by 20. Then I'll push this all through. All right, so I just want it to form this thing instead of making it a thick stuff, because I don't know how they did the internal part there, but this now makes it easy for me. I just take this shape, and what I just need to do with this shape is change the I change the what do you call it? I change the fill that's the color on that thing, then that's it. So if I do that 50 right there, I don't need to do anything on the other side. I don't need to, but if I want to, I could. So I could just leave this as is, right? And I'm actually done with that roof. Like, I'm done. All right. So I could look at my model, of course, make corrections where I need. Right. So I didn't take note of the bottom part of that. So let me fix all that. Fix that. So I could decide to just reverse this and leave some things be. All right. So I will leave this line. I could clean it, but I will just leave that line. Right. I just leave it just so I have it there for reference, just in case I need to do something with that. Right. So reverse face. All right. So that's a different face going on there. And then this is another different face going on here. So let me see if I delete that. All right. I could just pour that in again and right. So I'm done with that. So I'll repeat the same thing on the other side, and I'm actually done with the roof. It's not something so complicated, right? It's just so you have something looking at. It's not like this is the actual construction, right? So it's not the actual construction, just something similar. All right. So this one goes up this way. So I measure 230 for the walls and I pull it up. All right. So I'm pushing it up. So let me unhide the other side because I want to know how high it goes. I want it to be almost as high, but let me see the difference in height. All right. So you can see this is where that wall ends. So like maybe 450 extra. So let's see, take this up by 450 extra. All right. So then it falls down to the end. Right, so this part goes up by 300 just as the other side. So I'm just going to do this, and the first thing I'll do is I'll line this out and line this out. Now push this down, right? Push that all the way down. Then what I'll do is from this point to this point and this point to this point, I just draw my line, I close, delete that. Now I don't necessarily have to use my 9 degrees angle, but I want to use that so that I can get something tangibly relative to what they are doing. All right, so I'm just gonna pull that out on the red axis here, and I'll use my protractor to measure 9 degrees. So I'll just measure 9 degrees up, and I can see the angle. Now, having measured 9 degrees up, okay. So what that means now is I need to undo some things. All right. So what that means now is I need to give extra height to this. Take this up by extra 300. So let's say that's double the height. So when I now do my protractor for 9 degrees, it should be above the other one. Right? No, that side. 9 degrees. Now to be higher. Oh, yeah. To be higher. So that would be just for the base. That'll be just for the base, okay? Think I might need to make this a little bit higher, like not 300. Okay, 9 degrees. Okay, I think this will suffice now. So from this point, I could go ahead and just cut this like that. Tear that out from that point, and the same thing I could do that here. I just push pull this all through, and I just take this line, and I'll duplicate this line to the other side, and then I'll continue my push pull and cut it off. Right, so I'm done with that shape right there. So I'll just do the roof part. So I drag this up by 150 first, then I'll do an extra 50. No, not 15, 150. All right, so then I come out by the same distance I did, which is on the green axis. I come out by 450, and then I do the same thing on this side, come out by 450. Right, so quickly you can see I have my lines in play, so I could just draw my roof profile out like so, and I'll put this here. So all right, so I'll click that, and I'll move that out by 450. Then I will now push pull this. I'll press Ctrl to do that. I'll come to this end, and then I'll push it again by 450 so that it comes out to the other side as well. Then for this guy, all I need to do is bring him out by 50, I think, no, by 20. I think I did 20 the other side, so I'll do 20 outwards and 50 inwards, 50 inwards, right? Then I would want to duplicate the same thing to the other side. So I'll select this and I'll do connected faces, right? And then I'll select this face. So that's 20 inward from the other side, so that'll be 20. So I'll just measure that 20 there, and I'll pick that up from that point and duplicate it, right? And drop it in this other point. Right, so however you want to duplicate it, however you want to go about that, right? So this is how I did mine. And I reverse that face here. I'll just push this out like so by 50, and I right click on this part and reverse face there. So this pushed out by, okay, I need to push that with a plus sign, a 50, reverse that face again, then I'll push this till it gets to this point, right? And like that, I'm done with the basic part of the roof. So all that's left now is, you see how simple it is to create these roofs. It's not really like rocket science. You just have to settle down. All right, so if you are still having issues creating roofs, you might just want to go to the video again, replicate it, and probably maybe if there's a demand on roof creation, I could just go over that. All right, because I did notice some of my students over time had issues creating roofs, especially when you're applying principles and stuff like that. I'll never forget that if you are doing what they call it, you're doing modeling, visualization, you don't necessarily have to give so much attention to that, right? Never forget that. All right, so that being said, I think this part is too thin. I don't know what thickness I did, but it's too thin. I think I should be 20. So I need to push it out by a little bit more, like 30 to make it up to 50. All right. So with that, if I delete all the guides, I turn off my building, the rest of my building, you can see it's already beginning to make sense, right? Beginning to make sense. Beginning to make sense. So much sense, right? So we'll soon get to the part of the video where I would go ahead and start. All right, so there's a gutter. There's a gutter on the roof. All right, so there's actually a gutter there that's done with a profile. Okay, not there. There's an angle that shows the gutter, right? So this is it. There's actually a drainage gutter right there. It's actually a simple thing. You just to make this profile, then pull it all the way through. All right, so I'm just gonna do something similar to that. All right, so I just call this the top. All right, so this is the top, and then I'm just gonna come and make a gutter, right? So the gutter will just be when the water flows down, it just flows into the gutter right here. So I'm just gonna pick my point from there so that I have a flat surface right there. Okay, so I'm just gonna look at that again. Right, so it just goes from there all the way a little bit down, right? Goes a little bit down. So I'll go down by like 20. All right, so let me see. So I'll just draw a little bit of rectangle like so. Then I would let me curve this part, curve that part to something like this. Then let's see, let's draw a line like this, and then I'll curve this again, just this slight bit of curve, right? So I just have that going on there. Yeah, just have that going on there. So I could just, I'll copy this, then I'll pull this all the way through. That's my gutter. Make group, and I'll call this gutter. That's how they spell it. All right, so I'll go to the second part. Now group this, call it, wait, this is not even, all right, so the big roof. All right, so this is top. I'll call this top, and then I will take him into the big roof. And inside the big roof, my walls are not all walls yet. I'll call this roof walls, roof wall, and then I'll just paste my gutter that I copied from the other side. All right, so I'll just paste him around there, and I'll rotate. I'll rotate. I'll rotate it just perfectly that side. So I think I need to bring him down just a little bit, just a little bit down. I think this is fine. All right, so I just pull that all through. And I can call that gutter. All right, so make group gutter. All right, so with like so, I'm done with the roof, properly labeled, properly grouped, so that when we start, we want to start doing some adjustments or modifications, because as you progress, you observe your model and you make adjustments and amendments. All right, so the next series of videos are going to be finishing videos, so we'll be applying the windows. We're going to be making the railings, make the railings, and would put the windows and the doors and make the railings. And if there is any other thing, then we'll do that. Then we'll now proceed to producing the what do you call it, the textures. All right, texturing the house and preparing it for you know rendering. So but what we'll do is we'll pause when we get to that part. We'll pause when we get to that part. Then, because the training, we actually went from scratch. We started from understanding some concepts, understanding the concept of 3D, modeling concepts, and many other things like that. Then we now came up to on the use of SketchUp. We spoke about different other softwares, but we settled with SketchUp, and because of its simplicity and accuracy and stuff like that. So, but we are going somewhere, right? So when we get to the point where we want to render, which is when we're done putting windows and the doors and put rails with the balconies and the necessary things around the house, One other thing that we can do is to do a site plan. Do the site plan, that's the environment of the house. I think that's the next thing we'll do. After those things, we'll do the site plan. Then the next thing that will follow should be texturing, right? So I ensure that I didn't apply any texture anywhere. I think the only place I had applied textures is on the, what do you call it? On the initial models I did for the window, right? For this window and this window, I've already modeled those two in the previous videos. So that's just where textures will be applied. But I think what I would do is when we start modeling the other fixtures, I'll apply textures to them. But while we are in this mode, I'll turn off the textures because I want to jump into texturing and rendering at the same time. I'll have to talk about the concept of rendering and everything that every basic information you need to know about that before we jump into taking it into a rendering capacity, right? So, but as you can see, we are fast approaching the end of this training course. And thank you so much for following along. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe if you haven't subscribed up to now. And if you also need help with anything, just drop a comment in the comment section, put a question and stuff like that so that I will know you're asking a question. And then once I see that, I'll get back to you. All right. So thank you so much again and see you in the next one where we begin to model our schedules.